And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the Rovertime podcast. I'm your host today, Dr. Manhattan. With me is Stan.
Good evening.
Crow.
Hey.
And Mark.
Hello there.
We would have had mining, but he's just going to troll the chat, apparently, or some shit. I don't know. So, let me just get readjusted here for a second. But yes, so talking about the Raise Act, Raise Act, I should say, because all them capitals.
I hate how they do this with laws. It's ridiculous. Why do you always make some sort of acronym? Why can't you just make the Immigration Act of 20?
Because that just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. It's like we got to make it catchy somehow, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, since this is Crow's first appearance, I don't know. Do you want to give yourself an introduction there, Crow?
Oh yeah, I forgot it was his first time. Or not.
And he dropped off.
There we go. Oh shit!
Crow loves lamp.
What?
Crow is actually a lamp.
Nah. I
Wait,
just don't want to show my fucking face. What
Wait,
happened?
I was going to say, though, do you want to give yourself an introduction because this is your first appearance?
Not really. I'm just a person.
But you're named after a bird.
Oh, fair enough.
Bird person.
That's the person with a weird name.
Mark.
Yes.
Do you know the meaning of wubba lubba dub dub?
No.
I am.
I had to make a Rick and Morty joke because Bird Person's an actual character, but all right. So
I actually didn't I never watched Rick and Morty because like people that I don't like watch Rick and Morty, so I just boycotted it.
I always find when there's a bunch of people like, "Oh, it's the greatest show ever," it makes me not want to watch it.
It's
more.
good.
Except Game of Thrones. Like I got into that now and making
Well, yeah, I mean everyone got into Game of Thrones.
yeah. My friend
I've
keeps
never
making fun
seen
of
Rick
it.
and Morty. I've never seen Breaking Bad. I've only seen like one episode of The Walking Dead. Just none of that interests me.
Hey, we were going to talk about immigration stuff, right?
Sure.
Sorry, but I'm so behind on stuff. What is this raise thing?
Well, I guess
It's basically just an act that says that we're gonna basically follow Canada's immigration system, essentially.
Oh, so have none.
No, it's just have standards. You have to take care of yourself.
Canada having standards, and how did Trudeau come into fruition?
Oh God, it's basically a points-based system. Oh,
Nah.
hey, Alex.
My bad. Sorry, guys. Clock got away.
It's all right.
Yeah. Basically, the Raise Act just puts proposes a point-based system where you get extra preference if you know English, can take care of yourself, and that's basically it.
Oh,
it's just merit-based.
Well, it would also would reduce the number of green cards from 1 million down to 500,000, and it would also be tougher on the because right now, if you have and I forget the term they use, but essentially if you have family, they get kind of bumped to the front of the line. But what happens is then it starts, okay, so it's like, okay, my cousin, then my cousin's cousin, and then my cousin's cousin's dad, it just starts to really...
It snowballs, basically.
Snowballs out to like where it's now a person that you've never met, but because they're technically family, they get pushed to the front of the line. And what this will do is this will limit the path to spouses and their minor children. So literally, it's would be your immediate family.
If I had to guess, I would say that it was intentionally done as children and wife to start, and that they're planning on seeding grandparents and siblings probably in the negotiations, because that's the only real legitimate thing I've seen from a lot of people. They're like, well, but it doesn't take into effect these people that very legitimately are family. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Well, I mean, that's a legitimate argument, but where I say, well, I don't give a shit. I mean, my company last year when my grandmother died, I didn't get bereavement because she wasn't on the, considered the immediate family that it would only be my parents or my siblings. So I'm like, okay, that
But I'm saying, like, your parents
that's
were
a long,
that's
you know,
your parents
long
were
stretch.
the Raise Act doesn't have parents in the modus operandi as of current,
Right.
which I think as far as globally, culturally, the kind of immigrants we want. When I say that, I mean, like, you know, high skill Indian,
Yes.
Middle Eastern, Asian. These are all cultures that have a heavy family dynamic where children take care of parents. So having the ability to bring your parents over here is definitely a plus to getting those types of immigrants here, and that's something we probably want to encourage. So.
Bean!
Well, I also think that, with some of those, if they're, that highly skilled, I'm sure those companies would, probably assist in pushing that along. But, that's a very valid, argument, which is true, especially like you said, in, we say, in the Asian community where they are very heavy on taking care of their parents. But yeah, apparently the biggest problem with it was the English speaking part, and well, at least for Jim Acosta, that was the biggest problem.
Nice.
And Stephen Miller, I'm sorry, he kind of went totally Jim Acosta, reverse by, lecturing and virtue signaling. My question to Jim Acosta would be, if I am going to migrate or immigrate to, say, Japan, there would be an expectation that I would have to learn the language. They're not going to. Japan would be a bad example because there's a lot of people that speak the language already, But if I'm going to immigrate to, a country where English is by far, not prevalent, they're not going to expect me, everyone around me to learn English. It's going to be, no, you need to learn our language or don't bother coming.
And just in general, like, do you know how difficult it is, or if it's even possible, to become like a Japanese citizen?
Oh yeah.
Like, you can't if you're not like.
They don't want any of us freaking round guys moving over that way, probably.
I have a.
You're about 99% ethnically Japanese. Okay, so I never understood why we get called racist for being 70% white in America. But then, for some reason, when Japan's 99% ethnically Japanese, it's just crickets.
Yeah, it's suddenly, oh, it's fine. We don't want to culturally appropriate. It's like, no, you don't get to do the double standard, guy.
Hey, who is also, by the way, because I'm so out of the loop, during that press conference, who was the guy that schooled the other guy for saying, like, what are we only going to allow immigrants from Australia? And
that was Jim Acosta from CNN.
That was that.
Yeah, he said that, and then Stephen Miller is the one that blasted him and showing your cosmopolitan ad. I mean, honestly, the more I hear Jim Acosta, the more, to me, he frankly feels like Lauren Southern, where he is trying to, rather than report, he seems to be injecting himself and becoming part of the story more than the actual story itself.
Oh, Lauren Southern.
I mean, he even said, this White House, it's the 3 M's. It's about Mexicans, Muslims, or the media. And I'm like thinking, no, you mean the 3 M's. It's about me, Jim Acosta. That's what you mean, because you always make it about you. And it's, yeah, granted, I think Stephen Miller went way overboard with his diatribe at him. But then again, Acosta was just, was also, making a speech and, quoting a poem as, immigration policy.
And
oh my God, that's so insufferable.
It brings me back to that one time someone was, when people were arguing that voter ID was racist, and someone went around asking African American people, like, do you think you have a problem going to, like, the DMV, like to get an ID. They're like, nope, I know where it is. It's right. Like they think it's racist to assume that they can't get an ID. And it's the same thing. I think it's like, same thing about people not being able to learn English. You can learn English, like
yeah. I mean, you know, and you know, to your point about the IDs, I mean, a lot of states have just voter IDs, and I mean, I remember when this was a big discussion. I looked up here in New York, and like senior citizens could get like one, and it would last for like 10 years, and it was like $5. You know, so It's like, yeah, I mean, it's very, you know, it's generally very cheap. A lot of states offer them for free, but you know, and a lot of the point, you know, also about the English that was being made is, you know, the majority of business is done in the world, people speak English. So requiring them to speak English when they come here, I don't consider that a
that's not
a negative. That's a positive. It's like, look, I want to make you,
English,
I want to help you be more successful. I want you to be successful. I want you to succeed. So know the language.
Didn't English actually start off as a trade language when it was just first emerging? Because that actually makes a lot of sense if it's like,
I don't know,
so omnipresent.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. Hi, guys.
Yeah,
Venne.
Venne.
But yeah, so like the merit-based system, it's good for both parties.
But it's racist because white people, blah.
I saw a tweet the other day I thought was fucking hilarious. Somebody said something like, a meritocracy doesn't work. Meritocracy will never work. I'm like, I mean, the way you're acting, it's not going to work. And if you keep trying to do all this privilege bullshit, it won't. But
I mean, if your goal is equality of outcome, then yeah, meritocracy never works because there's going to be unequal outcomes in meritocracy. So that's their goal. And I mean, this is the thing. At the end of the day, that's a noble goal, I suppose. Like, there's nothing wrong with that inherently in an abstract sense. But from a practical standpoint, when you try to achieve that, you end up with really shitty results because people don't like equality of outcome ever.
Yeah,
it's really demotivating.
Yeah, I don't get so many of these people. It's just like, hey, everybody have this. Like, no, this doesn't work.
Well, if there's no meritocracy, then what is the motivation to improve or to create new products, new services, take, you know, existing things and make them better. If
this doesn't exist because Steve Jobs wanted everything to be the same for everybody,
right?
Okay,
you want, you know, and in business, it's like, well, if we're all, you know, if all the businesses are going to be the same, well, that's, you know, so people to say that meritocracy is a bad thing or doesn't exist is probably someone that's sitting and going to be either running a cash register or bagging groceries the rest of their lives because, you know, they will be convinced that they're being held down for some ridiculous reason.
Oh yeah, they work in areas where there's no meritocracy in place, so of course they don't see the benefits of having a meritocratic systems. If you work, you know, a 9-to-5 job where you're a pencil pusher or a clock puncher, yeah, it's hard to excel in those areas because you literally got hired to do a very, you know, rote job, and the only way you can excel is showing up early and working extra, which, you know, isn't the greatest thing in the universe because then you're dependent on your manager noticing that and wanting to reward that and not just keep you in the spot where you're functioning really well. Right. So, I mean, I get what they're saying, but you know, the way out of that is to go get a new job, work in a different industry.
Like, right. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, you know, to a point, you know, but I mean, you know, and I've always been that type of person that, you know, believes that, you know, my work and my work ethic will speak for itself, and generally I have been correct in that, you know, aspect. Heck, I get to work at home full time, so obviously what I'm doing is working. So, but
no, Stan, merit, it doesn't work though.
No, yeah.
the way I see it, if we're going to talk about immigration, my proposal is very simple. Get rid of the welfare state and then just basically open the border.
Okay.
I mean, that only works if you have no social safety net whatsoever. With the ease and cheapness of travel, even if we had open borders, you would, even with no welfare state for them whatsoever, even if it were just limited to, like, citizens of natural birth, and we maintain it that way, or if it was just nothing period for anyone, you would still have so many charitable organizations basically draining every bit of charitable assistance that it would be detrimental to the entire nation as a whole. Structural and frictional unemployment would be outrageously high and huge issues to deal with for nothing. For them to basically recreate the shitty country they came from here.
Yeah,
don't get them citizenship. Just let them come in here.
What Crow says is a solution. It's like the most hardcore, like libertarian stance. But even someone like Stefan Molyneux, who's a really smart guy, is an anarcho-capitalist, though in theory, even he says, like, you need to you can't just have you can't just try to have boom, widespread freedom. You need to have pockets of freedom where you can maximize freedom in those areas. I don't think even he doesn't think that open borders would end well. But I mean, it would at least end the welfare state. That's one thing I'm for. But
that's the thing. Even if you end the involuntary welfare state, right? Then if you get rid of the taxation and the redistribution of wealth, which I agree totally, I like that idea. You will not get rid of charity in the United States. That is just not something that is physically ever going to happen, because that's part of our ingrained culture. And when those resources are good things, and they're well pointed towards solving a problem in our country, but they will be completely overwhelmed in that sort of open borders scenario, because people are still going to come, because you still have one of the richest and most charitable countries on earth saying, hey, come crash on our couch.
Yeah. I like that. I just like the idea of Uncle Sam saying that to someone from I don't know, 1960s Russia or something. I don't know. Just hey, you all right, buddy? You look a little rough.
Come crash on the couch, yes?
Yeah, man.
I have a question. I have a question a little off topic, but speaking of jobs for bagging groceries and stuff is it true, Dr. Manhattan, in your state of California, that you have to pay for bags?
Yes, that is in fact true.
Do you walk out with things in your shirt like a kangaroo instead? Or do you eat the cost?
I just kind of eat the cost, and I know a lot of people who try and bring in they'll try and do reusable bags and whatnot, and it's oh, I forgot, I gotta pay. I'm all right, it's no big, it happens, but God.
It's like that in Maine too.
Is it?
Yeah. Last time I was up there in May, I had to stop at the store, and they said, "Are you taking a bag?" Yes, 5 cents.
Oh, 5 for instance, 10.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Come on.
Well, that's California. Those are those designer
that's fair.
plastic bags.
It's weird. It would be weird to do that. Sometimes you get customers that are not from the state, and they may not have sales tax, or they have lower sales tax, and they come up here and it's 7% sales tax. What? That's absurd. I'm well, I've known this. It's just natural to me, but to them it's whoa.
You're just welcome to New Jersey.
Yeah. So speaking of California, though, what do you want to talk about with California? Because I heard they did something dumb.
Oh, they always do something dumb. It's California.
Or something to make people dumber.
That too, yes. Stan, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but was it that they made it? It's not a requirement basically not a requirement to pass English and math to graduate.
And you know what? That's funny though, because that is basically what's Common Core making all the schools
Common Core is
a certain
fucking abominable, and I hope it ends in the worst string of hell.
That's why this is funny, because if they're not sticking to it, that's they're exercising states' rights then, because they can have school requirements based on what they feel they want, and that's states' rights, which is funny because liberals are the ones that argue for Common Core.
That's all I can say, man.
Now, basically,
Well,
what the federal,
and actually, what
the federal
looking at
government,
it. Go ahead.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
what the federal government does with Common Core is basically that the federal government just steals money and then says, we'll promise to give it back if you do what we say with Common Core. But don't worry, it's optional. It's optional, you guys. This is why I want the Department of Education dead. Okay, the Department of Education has to die because they keep saying, oh, states' rights, but the state's not actually really choosing. It's more of a strong arm of the federal government. Just, we'll take your money, and then we'll give it back if you do what we say. And we'll tax it both ways, but it's optional. This doesn't make any sense.
Oy.
So could you imagine not knowing how to do math? I mean, no math.
I barely know how to do math outside of the simple shit, man.
And it looks like what's happening is that Cal State will no longer require placement exams in English and math for people to
Dude, people are in mass. People are already illiterate and mathematically unskilled.
Wait,
what do
is
you
this
need
college
that?
or high school?
college.
God.
Oh, well, that's fine. I think gen eds are stupid anyway, so just take your major class and then get the fuck out.
But I always thought that the purpose of college was to help you become a more well-rounded as far as your educational.
Well, if you go by that one chick who had a freak out at Yale, it's to provide a home and comfort. Fucking moron.
You need math for I would assume most fields, like finances and.
If you have a bank account, you're going to use math.
If you,
let's.
There's obviously going to need to be like a certain basic amount of math you need to know. So obviously, but like I don't even know where to fucking go with this. I'm just so astounded by it.
We need a class that specializes in teaching people the differences between there, and there.
Right.
Maybe like an entire class to there's some people that will never get it, and it's super simple. And you're ignoring.
If it's about college, then I don't think this goes far enough. I think that all general education requirements. I think that all college general education requirements should be abolished. It doesn't make any sense as a concept. If you don't know basic math and basic English when you get into college, you shouldn't be in college.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, though, I think. If you don't need to know math for college, then why would you need to practice it in high school for college so that you can pass the college classes? It's next going to follow down to the high school level, I believe.
No. High school is what general education is what high school is for. But you shouldn't have to get gen eds in college. That's basically taking high school again. So it makes it redundant. Doesn't make any sense.
It's like they all collectively agreed, hey, we all hated those 4 years of high school, right? Yeah. But do we want to have more of the same? Not really. Okay, well, we're going to fucking do it anyway, so get used to it, Steven. Or something. I don't know.
Math is misogynistic.
Steven.
I just think, with the amount of people already coming out of college with completely
bullshit
worthless degrees, lowering requirements. And in fact, there's one college that if it's not part of your major, they're not going to require you to even take algebra, which generally in college, you had to take a math. And it's like, okay, so these people already are having worthless degrees, but at least they were, taking, some of the basics. And now it's, and what the guy says, a forward-thinking and progressive way. It's like, so your idea, and this is why other, students, from the, Japan, India, who are forced this stuff from the start, are kicking our asses in the better jobs, better education, because, we're not forcing people to work harder. We're making it easier to get a worthless degree and make it more worthless.
Well, here's the thing. Just get the government out of college entirely.
Here's the thing, though. I feel like if you're not doing a specialized major, a lot of the benefit of going to college is to just show your employers that you're capable of learning new things and passing a variety of different kinds of classes. Because what if you can't find a job in your target field? You need to show people that you
can
are
assimilate
capable
knowledge
of
and be
adapting and learning.
And willing to step outside of your comfort zone and push yourself. But I mean, I would be willing to bet most of the people that are complaining about this are the ones that are going to be in gender studies, women's studies.
I only want to take gender studies.
And have a worthless degree.
That's it.
And have a worthless degree anyway.
They just want to crack open a history book and be like, that's racist.
I can just picture the bratty attitudes though, like, I want to take gender studies, but I don't want to take math. That's icky. I don't want to take math.
Right.
Because why would you want to be able to understand the statistics that are being used in your social, quote-unquote, science?
Yeah.
Statistics are racist. Sorry.
Well, this is why
Statistics are problematic.
Just get the government completely out of college. It wasn't until the government started paying for people's college that these worthless degrees started popping up, because no private investor in their right mind would ever pay for them. Just get the government out of college. Problem solved.
I gotta say though, I gotta say, Crow, being in New York, I am actually, for my niece who is going to college in the fall, am happy for her that New York has implemented this. If you are from the state, you have a certain amount, you only make a certain amount of money, that she'll have to pay for her room and board, but her education will be paid for. So I actually have to lean on that side where I'm like, okay, that's good, because it's affecting someone. And by the way, my niece is going to college for a STEM field, so
good for her.
So she's getting the most out of it, So it's she's not going, but I think you're right. I mean, if you go to a college for gender studies, then you shouldn't get anything, because there should be some sort of okay, what at the end of the end of the day are you going to be contributing back? You're going to work at Salon. You're going to write op-ed pieces for the Huffington Post about how my gender wage gap, my patriarchy.
How much you want to bet, though? I mean, that's great that she's going to be in a STEM field. The best of luck to her and all that. How much you want to bet they're going to say she's like some kind of, I don't know, some form of sexist, or like internalized misogyny and all that.
She's an aunt, Tom.
My niece is African American. She's got.
Oh shit, she's good.
If she does well, then she has nothing to worry about. In fact, to be honest, the week after next, I'm taking her out to dinner because we're going to have a discussion about, here's the shit you're not going to be doing. Okay. We're going to have the talk about, I'm like, I don't give a shit if you go out and party, but I better not see you blindly following people in these protests. I mean, she's going to a small school in the middle of New York State, so it's not like she's going to, Berkeley or someplace, but still,
there's a very low chance she's going to be trying to hang out with Antifa.
I hope not.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're someone who's going to college, who has good grades in high school and who's pursuing a useful degree, you'll have no problem paying for it privately with a loan or a grant. So I don't really see why the government needs to get involved in the first place. I mean, the government's the reason why college is so expensive in the first place anyway.
Well, a lot of the people that are complaining are the ones that are walking out with useless degrees, and then complaining about it.
Yeah, those are the only people who are at these free, quote-unquote, free college protests. Because they're the only ones who can't get their loans paid for by a private lender or grant lender.
Mark,
all right.
Mark, you are forbidden from telling that joke out loud.
What joke?
It took me a second.
It's dumb. It's really dumb. Let's move on.
You haven't been on much, Crow. It's a Mark joke. Okay.
All right.
Mark has dad jokes. I mean, let's.
Hey, okay. Don't insult dad jokes. These have not aged long enough to be dad jokes. Give it another 15 to 20. But all right, so Crow, as I understand it, you're on today because we are also discussing some of the transgender military issues stuff going on, and you were a Marine, or are, I don't know how you view that philosophically, because I remember
No such thing as a Marine.
Yeah, exactly.
And what the fuck is an ex-Marine? Come on, get the fuck out of here with ex-Marine shit. Yeah, but the bottom line is, if we're gonna be talking about the whole tranny shit in the military, I don't think that people who are on any medication should be in the military, because here's the thing: when you're in the military, you have to be what is considered. We have to always be deployment ready. Okay, you always have to be considered deployment ready. Okay, which means that you always have to be ready to be sent off somewhere. Even no matter what job you have in the military, you always have to be ready to be sent off.
You got to be ready to be gone in like 5 minutes, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, anywhere in the world, you have to be ready to just be sent off. Okay, and if you're dependent on any kind of medication, this is the reason why people with asthma can't be in the military, because there's no guarantee of an inhaler on the battlefield. You can't just say, "Time out, everybody! I need to go to the pharmacy." You can't do that. Okay. There's no CVS in Afghanistan battlefields, okay?
Build the wall green.
Build the Walgreens.
Not a Rite Aid?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work with Rite Aid.
Oh.
We just got a thumbs down on the video. Thank you, Mark. Good job.
Fuck that guy. That was hilarious.
No, I'm just kidding.
If you get one thumbs down, you have infinitely more down votes than up votes.
I haven't been following a lot of the transgender military stuff. All I know is that it's like, hey, there's a ban. It's like, and people are gonna be mad. Oh boy.
But
it's gotta be fun.
We did talk a lot about this last week, so I don't want to overkill it. But again, it's just
one,
the way
one
Trump
of the interesting things, I some of the things throughout the week, and I forget who it was. I mean, granted, I wasn't with some of these policies, I'm not a huge fan of Trump announcing them via Twitter, but I remember someone saying, a policy of this magnitude. I'm like, of this magnitude? I'm like, what kind of magnitude affects like 2,000 people in the United States?
Yeah.
That is magnitude. That's the opposite of magnitude.
Just think of the word magnitude makes because magnitude refers to like earthquake levels, and it just makes me think of like, this is so bad, my Earth is literally shaking because.
Well, I'm like, this is not a policy. I mean, which honestly, I'm almost making a defense for him announcing on Twitter, because it's not a policy of any magnitude. I mean, announcing that my hometown here is would be getting, say, $1 million in federal money to help rebuild streets has more magnitude to it than this bill, and no one would ever hear about that kind of a thing. So that was one of the things. But again, it's a virtue signaling. And although I did see, I don't know if anyone watches Water's World.
Nope.
It's pretty funny. He was he went to or no, it was, I'm sorry, it was one of the guys on the Rebel. And he went and he was talking to people in Toronto about the trans, the ban. And there was a guy who was clearly drunk saying, you know what? Take them all. And then when we have war, send their unit in first. He's like, put them all in one unit and they can all be sent into battle first. And it's like, okay.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, that was, of course, then he also got a guy who was virtue signaling, in Canada, diversity is our strength, and he's like, well, what about the military? Well, strength is strength. He's like, I thought you just said diversity was strength. Which is it? My virtue signaling. I gotta go.
This is why Canada depends on the U.S. military, because their bureaucrats are fucked. I mean, I hate the Pentagon. I really fucking do. They're a bunch of assholes over there. Just bunch of stupid bureaucrats who want to give you PowerPoint presentations and shit, but nonetheless, Canada, oh my god, they're even worse. I mean, and you know what? In Germany, in Germany, they actually tried to virtue signal by taking in both transgender and disabled soldiers. I mean, what the fuck? You guys want to cerebral palsy on the battlefield? Come on.
That reminds me of the Family Guy bit when they're like, we can take anyone we can get. We have 2 dead guys guarding the armory.
Yeah.
So what, you're saying Minding can join the German military now?
There it is. Oh, okay. Another thing. I don't know. I think, speaking of Minding, did he change the title? Because I think fuck it, whatever.
Right now. If he is, shout out to Minding Freedom. He's getting more noticed on YouTube.
Yeah,
I hear.
He was getting.
Yeah, he's in live chat. You'll hear what I said in a second.
He got to post a video on Roman's channel last week.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, so that was good for him.
But anyway, so small diversion, but have to talk about the Politicon debate between Shank Uger and Ben Shapiro.
Shank was full Shank. I loved it. Of
Shank,
course.
Of course.
Dude, he doesn't know that people love when you do that because they get to make fun of him. He's like, and he says to Ben Shapiro like straight up, he's like, and if you were to say that to me, I'd be like, of course. And like, you know, it's just so funny. He doesn't hold back his Shankness.
I don't think he understands it's a meme at this point.
No, he knows.
No, well, maybe he does, but he doesn't understand why it's a meme.
He doesn't care.
I mean, do Buffalo care about that kind of thing?
Right.
One of the more interesting moments, 2 interesting moments was for me was first when Shapiro essentially called Chink a prostitute.
Yeah.
And when Chink accused Shapiro of straw manning an argument, I'm like, oh. You have just unleashed Skynet, okay? Because
and number 3, Shank is shorter than Ben Shapiro.
By
like a foot.
What?
He's much shorter than Ben Shapiro.
No way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he can stand it, guys.
how could you be a
God,
foot shorter than Ben Shapiro is a legal midget?
Dude, I think Shank is like 4.5 feet tall. I'm gonna look it up because he's got to be pretty.
I think one thing that stood out to me about the debate was I think it was toward the end when I don't know why, but I feel like as far as debates go, if you have to resort to shouting USA to rally up your crowd, I'm like, you kind of fucked up somewhere if that's the only thing.
And I found that funny because all Chink was doing was saying, throughout the debate how bad it was, how bad the U.S. was. And
so then he's like, America!
And then realizing, okay, he clearly cannot handle a hostile crowd.
No, he can't.
Because he was on, calling them stupid, uneducated. I'm like, how is this guy a lawyer? He can't handle any kind. Yeah,
he's a lawyer?
Yeah. I'm like, he can't handle any kind of
oh my God, I want to be in that courtroom.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And, he's immediately attacking people. And,
Your Honor, of course my client is not guilty. God, I would pay so much.
Yeah, exactly. My client's not guilty. It's easy to see. Google it.
Yeah.
Google it.
And that's the other thing. Anytime you just say Google it yourself, it's like
video on the Google.
Well, here's the thing about one of the things that I wish that Shapiro would have called him out on was when he said that the federal government got over $400 billion in donations for campaigns and stuff in 1 year in exchange. And why do you think they give it? Why do you think they give this to them? It's in exchange for over $4 trillion in subsidies. The entire federal budget is less than $4 trillion. So I don't know where he's getting this from.
Well, clearly he got the exception for math where he didn't have to take it in college.
Yeah.
To get his degree. And this shows why. You also look at him talking about, the tax rate should be between 0 and 100%. And figuring it out, that's where the problem lies. Okay, what's your solution? Well, it's somewhere between those two numbers. So You're either no tax or all tax. And then when he was talking out of his butt, and he's talking about health insurance, and well, hey, look, if they tell me that I'm going to get taxed, $800 more, but I'm going to get $1,000 off of my health insurance, that's a deal.
Damn it, Mark.
It's like, where are you getting these numbers from, Cenk? Yes, if I get told that, that's fine.
I love it.
What's the basis for that argument?
I just got to. Sorry, you got to see if I'm sharing.
Okay, well, that's also. I mean, that's also point of view. Ben was on the front of the stage. Cenk was on the back.
I'll find a better one.
He's not. That's not. In fact,
what are the jokes?
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
But I found. I actually found myself almost a little bit pitying Cenk, because I don't know how, but Shapiro, I mean, he's obviously a professional when it comes to debates, but he, like, literally anything Cenk could have possibly come up with, Ben was ready and had a response. And,
like you said, Ben was Skynet.
He is. I'm pretty sure if you take off his skull cap, he's got a USB right there. You can just plug it in, or he's got a Wi-Fi connection. I mean, into the brain. But it's and then Cenk posted on Twitter. Someone screen capped it. TYT Army disappointed me. Debate was full of uneducated conservatives. It's like, okay, so because you didn't have a bunch of rah-rahs, that meant that you couldn't handle and come up with valid arguments for your points.
Yeah.
And like you said, to the point where it's like he's literally at the end trying to rally the crowd. USA. It's like, dude, you're ruining it. Okay, you just completely ruined the USA chant forever for everyone.
Now, I didn't think it was an unsuccessful attempt to steal it, but I
mean, especially at the end, and he was like, and that cuck moderator. Well, I'm not going to declare a winner. Yeah, because it was a TKO in the first 35 seconds.
Yeah,
and Shapiro was ground and pounding him for the rest of the fight.
As soon as Ben Shapiro walked out onto the fucking stage, it was like, okay, no. Cenk is just dead. Cenk may as well just be spinning around in a coffin as far as debate goes.
Well, from what I understand, I didn't see his debate last year, but his debate last year, Cenk went full Buffalo and literally just out-louded.
You mean with Dinesh D'Souza?
Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah.
He just talked louder, and Ben will be like, okay, well, I'll wait for you to finish. I mean, Ben has had a transgender person threaten to put him in an ambulance, and his only response was, well, that seemed highly inappropriate for a debate. I mean, it's like you're not going to rattle him. He's unrattleable.
I don't think
of
Shapiro's Skynet. I think he's just a Terminator.
Yeah, speaking of that whole tranny thing on TV, if I were there, you know how he was basically getting triggered over being called sir? And so basically, if he were to put his hand on my neck like that, I would have just said, "That's not very ladylike, sir."
That's what he really should have said. I would have loved that.
Yeah, I know, it's hilarious. It's not very ladylike, sir.
And then
another takeaway that seems to have fallen under the radar from the debates was Anna Kasparian's essentially saying black people need to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and learn how to speak another language if they want to get the jobs. Like a McDonald's.
Oh yeah, that was a little weird to see her like making that argument, and I'm like, what? I mean,
because she clearly she clearly wasn't listening to what Ann said. Where Ann said, these illegals are affecting the African American community, and Anna just went into full SJW, thinking that you must be talking about white people, and it was just like, do you? And I don't think Ann Coulter called her out on it as much as she could have, but that crowd was also very TYT for Anna, because I think they knew that versus Ben, it's like, okay, there's no winning this one.
It's like pitting Bruce Lee against literally anything else.
Hey, Bruce Lee is dead. I could take him.
I don't know. I'm sure those bones still got some movement in them, man.
I don't know.
More than mine do.
Norris lost to Bruce Lee once.
Who's
Now he's
that
dead.
now?
Chuck Norris?
Beat Chuck Norris once, and now he's dead. But here's the thing. Here's the thing when it comes to illegal immigration. Anna Kasparian was making a pretty uncharacteristic appeal to a free market when it came to immigration. But here's a problem with that. When it comes to illegal immigration, there's a massive disadvantage created by government. So, for example, if you have to pay payroll taxes on a legal employee, then that means it makes it more appealing to hire illegals. If you have to pay for mandatory health insurance for legal employees, then it makes it more appealing to hire illegals. So it's not a free market when legal employees come with all sorts of hassles and strings attached, but illegals don't. So Anna's free market appeal just doesn't make any sense. If there was no welfare state, no taxes, no government regulations, and if that was the world we lived in, then it would make sense, but we don't.
Yeah. Speaking of the debates, did anyone hear anything about how Tommy's debates with? I heard a little bit about her one with Chelsea Handler and the fact that, once again, one little statement Tommy says being, put out there as, or evidence of her hypocrisy. But I'm wondering if anyone heard how she did with Simone Sanders. Because I haven't heard anything.
No, I haven't heard anything either. I did see some clips from Charlie Kirk, though. I don't know if a lot of you guys follow him.
Yeah, with
he's a good one.
Against Cenk's nephew.
Huh. Oh, yeah, I didn't know who it was, but
that's Cenk's nephew.
Oh.
He's another person to follow on Twitter. He's really good. If you guys don't know Charlie Kirk, he's also a very good speaker, and he's enthusiastic. And
Turning Point USA, yeah.
Yes, I suggest looking him up for anyone that's watching that does know him.
All right. Moving on a little bit. Apparently, there was a attempted knife attack, or somebody prevented it at the Eiffel Tower. So, yay! I guess somebody got a little stabby. Wonder what could have been causing it.
Hawaii.
Donald Trump.
I think that you're a bigot for trying to figure it out. It's just a random happenstance.
You're being a little coarse here.
Yeah, obviously it was Hawaii's fault.
You presume that someone must be at fault. Oh.
Yeah. No, you gotta say it like Cenk Uygur would. Just like, you're acting like there's someone at fault, right?
Identity politics.
Of course it has to be a Muslim. It couldn't just be random.
Hello. He was saying Aloha snack bar. I'm not sure if we're allowed to say Allahu Akbar because YouTube's Gestapo might get us, but
it was a white Hawaiian.
Yeah, it was a white Hawaiian. It was saying Aloha snack bar. Yes, in the most white way possible. Yes, I guess Aloha snack bar.
It wasn't a knife. It was a very sharp chocolate bar.
Yeah, it was very sharp. It was a very sharp pencil because he was trying to write his thesis for his chemistry degree. Oh he was a good boy. He didn't do nothing.
By the beard of his ancestors, he's innocent.
So that's about. I think that's about all we can say on that, right? Just hey.
I heard about it, but I don't know much about it.
Nah, I did see though.
Muzzy's gonna muzz. There you go. That's it.
And the only other thing I could think of this week was it's funny because I was just in a random cafe and I just happened to look up at the screen and I saw Martin Shkreli on the news, and apparently he got convicted of some kind of fraud, and I don't know what the details are of that or how it affects him and what he does, but All I know is that he's the guy that bought out like some medications that people stopped
and they
producing.
wanted to up the price by like 3,000% or some ridiculous number.
But they were still accessible and therefore raising money for research and funding other advances. I mean, like I've heard it's been a while, but I've heard the argument. But he's like a free market guy, and like what he did seemed to be, I think he's trying to do the right thing. It's to normal people that don't know the situation. It sounds like, oh, he's upping the price to price gouge and like rip people off who are in a bad situation. But like it turns out like the medications like were not being supplied, and he bought them so that they can still be supplied. But to do that, he had to raise the price.
I mean, raising the price is one thing, but I'm not exaggerating when I said the amount he raised it was.
It was a lot, yeah.
I mean, it was beyond ludicrous. Like it was. I mean, hundreds of percent up. And I understand the. But I also say, the fact that I believe he has not exactly had the greatest work history from his previous employers, finding him to be, altruistic was, or having altruistic motivations was not exactly an argument I could buy myself.
Yes, I don't know all the details, but if anyone else here knows more about it,
yeah, that'd be nice because I'm out of the loop too.
What about you, Lex? Do you know about this situation?
Lex?
I think he fell asleep, just like Toby does.
Nah, I got a million things going on at the moment, but I'm phasing in and out here. You're right, I probably should be asleep though.
All right, well, let's just go ahead and move on to the fluff piece of this broadcast. Talking about comic books a little bit, because there's a lot of stuff going on there apparently. I don't know if anybody else, but I was talking to Crow about this before we started, but has anybody else seen what's going on with the DC and the character they unveiled for, I believe it was Legends of Tomorrow?
No.
I was just talking with someone in a Discord.
Yeah. Her name is Isis.
She's a Muslim.
She is a Muslim superhero who literally says, "I am ISIS," to transform into DC. Did you really sit down and think, or were you like?
Wow.
Yeah.
I meant to say
vegan,
but
How do you reconcile that? Because like,
well, okay.
I mean, you got, first of all, they got Allah, and then you got Thor, and it's like, if Thor exists, then like she's disproven. Like,
well, okay. If it helps anything of their case, anything at all, apparently it's supposed to be after the Egyptian god Isis. So it's like
goddess Isis, yeah.
All right, so maybe in another time could have helped. Right now, it's like, no.
Also, Mark, Thor is DC. Thor isn't DC. He's Marvel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know anything, so.
Nerd. What the heck's wrong with you?
If only Minding was here to give me the fake news audio clip.
Yeah, right.
So couldn't that be like an anti-Kek thing though? Because like Kek is an ancient Egyptian god, and Isis is an ancient Egyptian god. Like that would have been a much better way to play that. But yeah, they did.
Yeah, where her arch enemy is Kek.
Right.
That'd be so hilarious.
Oh, they should make a Kek.
See, the left can't meme because that is an actually funny meme they could go with, and it would be entertaining. But like they're like, no, we can't even acknowledge these people that exist, even when they're like just trying to fucking take the piss out of us.
Yeah. Oh, the left
like
has no sense of humor.
They don't.
I feel like I don't have a right
I
to
forget
talk
who
the rest of the episode.
speaking of sense of humor, I forget who it was, but there was someone who was. Oh, it was Milo on his interview with Roaming. Shout out Roaming interview with Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
Where he was talking about some of the biggest part of the problem of the left is nothing. They can't. Nothing is funny. Like they can't find humor in anything, and it's like you gotta be able to laugh at shit.
That's why they'll die out.
Find the funny.
They're gonna fight. They're gonna keep fighting each other, and then they're not gonna like draw new people into their political sphere, and then they're just gonna dwindle away.
I have a theory. I remember saying this to Roaming in a tweet, actually. But I remember saying something like, comedy and humor in general are a sign of intelligence. So if we apply that to the left, just saying, there's some kind of connection going on there.
Yeah, they have everything is,
But that's
not
the only
right.
thing.
If they could find the humor in that, if they could be a little bit.
If they could pump the brakes and relax and just.
If they made that kind of, if they made this character in a meme stomping out Keck, that would be immediately.
That'd be hilarious.
Go viral, and it would be hysterical.
It would,
yeah. Because
they have to play it straight though, because this is serious, guys. It's like you gotta not do that.
I'm super serial.
Exactly. I'm super serial, guys.
Super serial.
Problematic.
It's not Muslims' fault. It's just he was pissed off by climate change.
Climate change will know what text with cereal.
So here's a shocking revelation. I'm just looking it up here. That the producers from The Legends of Tomorrow wrote this character specifically as a shot, shockingly, to Donald Trump. Not to get political, but something that we all gravitate towards the writer's room was making this character Muslim. So literally, and this is why some of these shows I'm falling off on. I mean, I used to watch them, but it's like I watch this stuff because it's not real. I don't want. I need. People watch TV to escape from reality, not to have continually on their throat.
When I was watching the first season of Supergirl, I was thinking to myself, "All right, this show's not too bad. It's kind of enjoyable."
It takes a hard turn.
I'm sure it does, and it pissed me off so much. Like in the first episode when she was like, "Why not Superwoman? If it's not Superwoman, doesn't that make us anti-feminist?" I'm like, who cares? You can shoot fucking heat beams out of your fucking eye sockets. You are literally more powerful than any man on the fucking planet, short of your cousin. You do not. This is like these problems are beneath you. You have to worry about. Oh.
But yeah, they have to. They can't. It's not even like they're making it funny. If they made it funny, shots, it would. I'd appreciate it, but it's not.
Yeah, they're just playing it straight, and it's like, okay, preach the.
Like, look how clever we are. Like in the new Spider-Man movie, when the Zendaya girl doesn't go up in the monument because that was built by slaves.
Yeah,
oh my God,
Zendaya.
Dude,
or how?
Just about that. First of all, it wasn't actually built by slaves. There's no evidence that it was built by slaves. There was no record or anything.
Right.
And things that were actually built by slaves had records of slaves. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that was
not built by slaves. It just wasn't.
But that's the thing. That was a shoehorned in SJW moment. She could have said, "I'm afraid of heights."
Yeah.
I mean, just but no, they had to shoehorn that.
I thought it was bigger insult that they completely shit on Mary Jane's character. I was like, no. I don't care if Zendaya plays her, whatever the fucking name is, fine, go for it. There's no avoiding that. But could you make her an enjoyable person like MJ was, from what I understand?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's just and not to mention, does not going into the monument just retroactively free the slaves?
Right?
Is that how it works? The slaves are now going to be freed back in time because I didn't go into the monument. Yeah, come on.
All right. I think
you guys missed my my joke on the chat.
No, we didn't miss it. We just ignored it probably.
It got the appropriate amount of laughs.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, it is It is 5:30 now.
It got
and I
Mark to
believe
laugh
that-
at his own joke.
Yeah.
That's the appropriate amount of laughs because he's the
There
one
you
that
go.
laughs at his own jokes the most.
All right, I think that's all. Unless anybody else wants to add a little something for. No. Yeah.
Just a reminder, I probably won't be here next week. I'm going to Boston Comic Con. Watch my Twitter. I will have photographs up from lots of costumes.
So meet Stan for autographs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston
sure you
Comic
get
Con,
his-
meet up! Sorry. But anyway, yeah, that is the show. Be sure to check out Matt Christiansen in a half hour, right, Mark?
Yep.
All right, and we will see all you guys next week. Have a good night or day, wherever the
Ciao.
fuck you are.
Good night.
Peace.
Bye.
Later.